and use natural resources to fulfill whatever needs we are, whether it's our, basic needs, our desires, our greed. So it creates lots of problem, the power dynamic, the hierarchy, and that creates division, discrimination among us as human beings, from different cultures, countries, backgrounds. And not even mentioning all the other species living on this planet, right? And as if we are the masters of our earth, of the planet. So where we want to head into, with all the problems now, the crisis we are facing in our time, it's really, really crucial that we need to have this shift to a eco-consciousness, where as human from different species, from different cultures, races, plus, all the living beings on the planet, we share our home together and we work together, we collaborate together, we understand each other, although we are very different. So it's about us. And this is a key message we want to bring forward with eco-media.
Awesome, thank you. And guys, one other thing that we like to, in this concept of ecosystem, we work, our norms of collaboration actually are pretty simple. We go with what's called a constellation mindset and interdependence. So when we're in our breakout spaces today, what we're going to ask us kind of our mantra to be is, be prepared to be needed, right? You're coming to this session where we need you, right? And we're going to need others. You're going to need some of our information. We're going to need your information, ideation, et cetera. And what we want to do is always, we know that we're always evolving and becoming. And part of that is we're working towards a common goal based around a lot of what Ivy just mentioned on eco media and moving from ego to eco. And really to understand that not only that's the world asking us to do this and nature asking us to do this, but society needs it. And to be honest, we need it. We really need this on the inside, right? And it's important for us to remember this constellation. Two other quick images, Thich Nhat Hanh's calligraphy. I don't know how many of you know the Plum Village, website and podcast and Thich Nhat Hanh's work. Again, coming to that understanding of we want to go inwards with our idea of sustainability and engage global citizenship so that we can then take it, outwards, right? I think sometimes we're always outward facing and we forget not only to look internally at our schools, but, to grow and evolve ourselves. And back to the constellation, this is an eco-photography photo I took in Chicago, just finding some stuff that's kind of old, at a place, punk rock bowling alley that I used to play at. And, together we will heal. We need that right now. And we're really happy that you're here to be a part of that. Lastly, this is just something to give you an idea of what Inspire Citizens does with whole schools. I don't want to go into the weeds too much on this, but again, knowing that we're looking to get to a point where students are demonstrating engaged global citizenship. We should be seeing evidence of compassion, connection, understanding, and action, both on the inside and on the outside. The stars here today represent kind of what we're going to be touching on a little bit. We're going to do some futures thinking together, and then we're going to talk through the idea of what does that futures thinking mean for co-designing these experiences for student-centered learning and through the lens of media literacy. So that's kind of our overview of where this fits in our Inspire Citizens system. Briefly, Ivy, would you talk quickly about empathy to impact?
So this is a simplified version we came up this year to explain empathy to impact. So when we look within, when we look at ourselves and everyone on the screen, you see all of us have one thing in common. We all have a head, heart, and hands. And this makes us human, fully powerful and creative. So we want to, structure this with our empathy to impact, methodology is, what happens in our heart, right? The care piece. What do we care about ourselves, the people around us and our planet? What matters to you most? And then, the hand is what kind of action, we want to do to make the things we care better. And what are the skills, we need to learn? And then, these skills, including inner skills and outer skills, right? And also, we have this very, very powerful head to help us to learn. So, we can imagine, to think like a regenerative economist, think like a deep ecologist, think like, advocate photographer. So this help us to shape a different lens to understand and perceive the world, and then to, make the change inside and outside. So as long as, we have our heart, head, and hands, working together as an equal whole body, then, the transformative learning and deep learning is there.
And this is the framework we'll be using a lot when we're deconstructing, the different eco-media channels and programs, as well as when you guys get into the breakout spaces to talk a little bit about the productions that we're going to put you guys into creating today in the small sessions. So thanks, Ivy, for that. And guys, just a quick understanding of our schedule today, right? We're going to start with a little bit of futures thinking. We're going to get into then just making sure we understand those learning goals again. We'll get into the adventure space, right? And we'll come back together, depending on time left. We'd like to do a little synthesis, a what if imagination protocol together, and then actually set some intentions and aspirations for this network. And we'll talk again at the end is that this is not about Inspire Citizens. I mean, we're part of this network, we're part of this ecosystem, but really what this is about is all of us together and all of our students together, using this medium to make a difference, again, inner society and in nature. All right, so we're going to dive right into some futures thinking. This is an image we've been using a lot. You can even see it still has a 2021 on it. We used it for some of our website design recently in our keynotes that we've been doing globally. But ostensibly what this is just saying is like, look, climate change is here. What does that mean for teaching and learning, right? And in this case, what does it mean for media literacy? Social polarization is here, right? And media literacy, that's a big one. Lots of polarization online. Biodiversity loss, AI and the future of technology and digital wellness, well-being in general, right? And mental health. And also, just inequalities. And what does this media and technology exacerbate, or does it help? And those are things we're going to answer or start to answer today. We're wondering really quickly, and we thought this would be a good chance for you to reintroduce yourself. Put your name in the chat and a quick answer to this question. What do you believe should be the purpose of education in 2022? So let's get all of us back into the chat for about 3-4 minutes. And again, say who you are, where you're from, and give us an answer to this question. Let's use this almost like a little pre-assessment of our group today. All right.
No. No.
I'm interested to see what Christina puts in there as a student.
It's also really encouraging just to see, the responses that are coming out. If we can harness, our potential together, or we can take these things that we truly believe and find ways to collaborate and connect, right? We can do some amazing things. So thank you for everything that you're putting in the chat.
And Aaron, something I'm also noticing in Scott and Ivy and the team is that there's not a lot of notes on things like A pluses, IB scores, AP scores right now, right? And again, I'm not trying to, say that those things don't exist and aren't important in their own right, but it's definitely not what I'm seeing showing up as terms of the core evidence of our learning community here. So as this trickles in a little bit more, please, get to know your colleagues here in our community through this chat. And I'm going to kind of move on to the next slide just to honor time and make sure we have some space to continue this discussion on futures thinking. Ivy, do you want to talk briefly about Youth by Youth? These guys have also been on our podcast recently, but it comes back to the young people and student lens on the future of education. And we'll have another opportunity in a minute to throw in some more things into our chat.
Yeah, so I realize, when we do PD and we want to, design a learning experience, usually it's a bunch of adults in the room, right? And we design for students. So where are the students' voice? And Youth by Youth is a young education activist group. So they do something called, Reimagine Future Education. And this is the visual recording from one of their gathering. So, this image here, it has captured how, these young people, if they were to design the future education they want, what would that look like? And I think, we as educators, and we want to, make sure the future learning experience is what our students want. It's important for us to have a close look at, what do they really want? So we are going to spend a couple of minutes here, just look at the visual and pick, one word or, one phrase or even one sentence that surprise you, that touches you or resonate with you most, and put in the chat box and tell us why. And also, when you picked something that really resonates with you, maybe think about, how might you apply that in your school setting, in your classroom setting?
All right, let's set a timer again for about 3 to 4 minutes. And don't hesitate in the chat. I know it's not the ideal space to send each other feedback, but definitely worth saying, hey, I like that idea. Yes, and etc. Great visual.
Steve, is it possible that you make the visual a little bigger so people can see better? Thank you.
You're welcome.
And even, some of the visual elements that might catch your attention. And then you will realize actually, the language these students use are also very different from our mainstream education. Like they are not shy away from using words like, awakening, suffering, right, healing, and all that, it's quite beyond our imagination.
There is really so much great stuff in this one when you really have a look at it. And if this is something you're interested in, I would definitely encourage you to go back and check out the podcast. I mean, it's a student there. He's a young man. He's 22. His name is Arielua, and he's based in Nigeria. And he's one of the youth leaders with Youth by Youth. And they've got some really cool stuff happening, as you can see from this visual. And, this idea of building this community and deep connecting is some awesome stuff.
Rajin, will you try to say something?
Yeah, I just wanted to say that there are so many things that I'm interested in, and the words are resonating to me for many ways, in many ways, and it's hard to choose one. So
like a few.
Well, and I think that that's an interesting point too, because I think Regine and we've all worked together in mission and visioning and thinking about the language. A lot of us here have worked together in some capacity. And sometimes that word salad becomes dangerous, right? It's all important stuff. It's all fantastic. It's all wonderful. And how is it then we get to a point where we can kind of know that these things are all interconnected, but honing in on those through lines that become who we are as a school or an organization, right? And it's both exciting and difficult to do. So again, guys, you have the PDF on this. I want to again move a little bit forward so we can get closer towards our time in some of our breakout spaces. And let's go on to the next slide. So briefly, what I want to do here is we're going to get you guys into, these guys were really inspiring. Scott, do you want to give us maybe a little 90-second to 60-second version of who these guys are?
Some of you probably have seen the Netflix documentary, The Social Dilemma. And Tristan, one of the main kind of narrators of that, is sort of one of the guys behind the Center for Humane Technology. And this idea of, could we use technology for good? And what's really cool here is we're going to look at the ledger of harms. And I always get a little bit shocked every time I have a look at this, because it's stuff, technology is sort of evolving so fast and we don't really notice all the time. And our kids are navigating this really complicated digital landscape that we as adults find challenging. So just looking for opportunities to engage our students with this idea of media literacy. And this is a great resource to do that, as it's got some really good stuff to kind of help students understand what's happening out there and what they need to be able to do to navigate this.
So what we're going to do, guys, if it's okay, Aaron, I'm wondering if we can do this and set a timer maximum of about 8 minutes, is I want to get us into some breakout spaces. And basically with your breakout room, you're going to do a little see, think, me, we together. And what I think for the first couple minutes, you can decide as a team, do you want to unpack one of these particular elements, making sense of the world, attention to cognition? You'll see on the webpage, you can drop down and it's got some pretty interesting and like Scott said, quite shocking times information on in these different categories. And then what we want to do is allow you guys just to talk a little bit about, what does that look like in my own life? And then what might that look like in our schools, our students' lives, et cetera. And again, this is just a real fast taste test, but we want to get you to this space to have an opportunity to engage with it, because this is something that we use a lot when we talk to parents, when we talk to administrative teams, teachers, and even students, so that we can get into this space of like, what is technology doing, to us? How are we consuming it? And a lot of the science behind it. So Mr. Moniz, do you want to do maybe like an 8-minute and just get some people into some, is it possible to do random breakouts, or are we already in the other sessions?
I'm wondering if we can try and just ask somebody to join one of the existing rooms.
Let's just
do that. If there's too many people in one section, then I might move you. All right. And that's a good test for later on as well. So I'm going to open some breakout rooms. You'll see that they have names on them already, but that doesn't matter for right now. Just join one of the rooms. And if there's too many people in one, I may move you. All right. And then Steve, if we can reiterate the task, I will set us up for 8 minutes.
Yep, you're going to go to the Ledger of Harms on the website of Center for Humane Technology. That link that Ivy and I put in the chat will take you straight there. It's also hyperlinked at the bottom of the PDF right here. And spend about 3 to 4 minutes just skimming and scanning one of these that you find interesting, and then just talk with your group for 5 minutes. See, think, me, we.
The breakout rooms should be open. Please let me know if you are able to join. Good. And I will be here if anybody needs me to put them into a breakout room.
Okay, so I'm going to put Ivy, if you would just do a little synthesis as what you were just talking about on the systematic piece, I think that would be a great closure to this, and then we can move forward.
Yeah, we heard a few participants in our room talk about, the making sense of the world, right? The reliable information, misinformation, and then, how our behavior using technology create, accelerate or destroy our social relationships, and also our physical and mental health. And I just want to, bring our attention to the systemic aspect, because all of these technologies we are using, the platforms, it's designed by human beings, and it's well designed and crafted to exploit our attention to the fullest, right? So our attention can be commodified into money. So when we think about technology for good, it's really important that we are also aware of the systematic, how the system is created and designed to achieve that purpose, and also how can we reimagine and redesign that system for us to have a different mindset and behavior, so we can truly use technology for good.
Yeah, and the last piece in our group that we talked, that was what if our schools took these ledger of harms as sort of and connected them, for example, into our social emotional learning or digital well-being or our mindfulness programs, how fantastic that could be to kind of scope and sequence this with the understanding that as everything is interdependent and interconnected, right? So this is just a really cool starting point. One other tool that I wanted to show you guys, and I don't think we're going to have a lot of time for this, is this library of the future. It's related to, sorry, I have dogs coming in and out of my room. It's related to the futures thinking that are involved in trends and futures trends. So here's some of the examples of the different types of trends that you can see. And within that, you have things such as connected learning, drones, we've got, the future of toys, we've got the future of data, and so on. And just the importance of how is it that we are engaging with these futures trends, just like that one zigzag image, to say, universal basic income could be coming. What does that mean for teaching and learning? What does that mean for, aging advances? People are going to be living longer. What does that mean for teaching and learning? Co-working spaces. What does that mean for our students and how they can collaborate, and so on. So what I thought would be cool is what we can do is we're going to give you guys a breather and a chance to have a break. And during the break, we'll extend the break to about 10 minutes while the team behind the scenes, we prep for our breakout spaces, is we're going to give you access to this PDF, right? And the PDF is basically the cards it's the trends cards that are all related to the center, the library of the future. And again, in this case, they framed it around the word library, or the location of a library, as a learning center. But you could easily replace the word library in any of these descriptions with the word classroom, school, organization, and so on. So what we're hoping to do then is just give you a chance to, look through for, as you're filling your coffee, as you're getting your water, et cetera, think about pick maybe 2 of those trends and just have a look. And think a little bit about, what does that mean for me as an educator, or maybe a future educator, that 10 years from now, what are some things what might the job description look like? And then what we'll do is, after the break, briefly just have a chance in the chat to think a little bit about what excites us about these future trends in this future job, right? What's worrisome? What might we need to know as educators? And maybe some suggestions on how we can get there. Okay, so I'm going to stop my screen, and I'm going to put this in the chat, the actual PDF link, the trends cards. Download that, have a quick look at that, and just think about this as you're looking through. Pick 2 trends, and then let's think about this. Okay.
And also don't
forget,
don't forget the amazing resource from Ledger of Harm and the Use by Use, their vision of future education. These are all the good reference point for us to rethink of us educators in 2035.
So let's say about 8 minutes, and then we're going to get everybody back. My clock says 45. We'll be back at 53. And then we'll get right into our breakout spaces right away so that we can have people trying on some of these eco-media opportunities. Aaron, do you want to set a timer for about 7-8 minutes, and then we'll see everybody back? Awesome. Thank you, guys. In our schools and how important that is. And I love what I'm seeing here. So as this continues to come in, I want to sort of get us into the next space. Again, as you come in, if you can just let us know you're here by popping a little bit into the chat or turning on your camera. And what we're going to look at is, how is it that media and technology can be a force for connection and understanding rather than division and destruction, right? Tech for good. That's what Mary Alice was saying in our breakout space. And that's really what eco-media is. How can we move from the right fuel, technology as a nutriment, as if we're using technology in a way that it sort of fuels our body and our being, how is it that we can move into a space more that's grounded in technology through compassion and understanding and love? What are we eating? And this is Ivy's specialty. Moving from, the influences of too much technology into the influence of a more space of engaged global citizenship, engaged action that's around compassion and understanding.
Yeah, and here, we want to invite you to reframe the technology that we produce and we consume really as the food, because, what we read, what we watch, what we listen to, they are the food to our mind. So as we, pay attention to what edible food we eat for our body, now it's a time to really pay attention and be aware of what food our mind is taking in. And, in a sense, are we eating love, joy, happiness, compassion, understanding, or are we unconsciously, eating hatred, greed, division, anger, anxiety? So this is, what eco-media try to reframe media and technology, and to bring that, back into our everyday life and examine our everyday activity using technology and media.
Thank you for that. And guys, so we're going to get into our breakout rooms where we can do a little hands-on choosing of adventures. Initially, based on numbers, we were thinking maybe all 5 at once, but I think because we're a little tighter group and a little more intimate, what we're going to do is have 2 shorter experiences. And we're going to start with eco-photography and out of the blocks. Those are kind of 2 of our core programs and core learning experiences that we embed into units, that we do for ASAs, that we do for elective classes. We also do hybrid experiences direct to students and educators. So the first 25 minutes, you're going to be able to choose between breakout space 1 and breakout space 2. And then we'll bring everybody back, have a little bit of a high five, and then we'll move into a choice between 3, 4, and 5. And I just want to bring up, remembering that in your PDF, each of the different channels and programs that we have with eco-media have a head, heart, hand component, and each of them is a little bit different. We like to have heart of eco-photography focusing on nature, the heart of out of the blocks focusing a little more on DEIJ, the heart of taste buds really dives deeply into the SDGs and intercultural understanding, mindful eating. Debate forward, obviously a really big one that comes into the future of civil discourse and community partnerships. So we're looking at how debate is not to win a blue ribbon, but it's actually to be, debate for understanding, debate for community, debate for, debate forward, right? We need to make our world a healthier place. And lastly, this one's kind of cool. I was just out today walking around on my block, mindfulness through bird songs. I heard a dog barking in the background. I heard a person playing piano, right? And then I had my dogs, their little leashes and the chains and stuff clicking. And it was just a really nice moment. I'm teaching kids sound engineering in that space. So these are all quite, I think, fun and exciting. So Mr. Moniz, if you can do this for us, it's gonna be hard, teachers. We're gonna have to not be tempted to hit 3, 4, or 5 right now. Can we do that? I don't know, we'll see. Mr. Mo, can you just get us ready for 1 and 2, and then we'll get people into those 2 separate spaces.
Fasten your seatbelts. We will be opening the breakout rooms now, and please choose between 1 or 2. Ego
See, we're doing
photography.
people a favor here. Like 5 choices, that's a lot. But now you only got to pick 1 or 2. Like we're helping people out here.
And I will stay in the main room if anybody needs help or would like for me to move them manually. Please let me know how I can be of assistance. Seth, do we need some help again? What are you thinking? 1 or 2?
I'm sorry. Well, I see that I'm joining a breakout room, but it's number 3. So I wasn't sure if I should just go with that or
Number 3 will be round 2. So we'll put you in 1.
Yes, please.
Okay.
Oh, I see it. Got it now. Okay.
I think I also need help with being allocated a group,
Sure. Where would you like to be?
maybe 1.
You want to try 1?
Okay.
And Francis, does your work normally? Do you normally work more with people in your communities, or do you work more with nature and photography?
With people.
Yeah. So why don't you try number 2? This is a really, really awesome immersive experience.
Oh, great.
Is that all right?
Sure.
Wonderful. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
And Kimberly, may I help you?
I don't see where I'm getting a choice, but I joined late too, so I'm not
Oh, okay.
sure. Okay. So
Sure. Would you like to do more nature photography or more active listening and speaking with people?
I think active listening.
Wonderful. Then I will add you to Out of the Blocks experience.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Attention. And so when I say go, I will open the rooms again, and you can choose between 3, 4, and 5, and we will spend about 25 minutes in those 3 rooms. All right. And I will stay in the main session. Jacob will get ours started. And okay.
Yeah, Mr. Mo, you're going to need to move some of us from our original rooms. Awesome.
And yeah, so if you need any help moving, I will stay here in the session and move you over. Okay, and is there anybody that requires assistance joining another room?
I'm happy to go. Is there a room that would be helpful for me to join? I'm very flexible, or maybe eco photography, Scott.
We're going to stick with just options 3, 4, or 5.
Oh, 3, 4, 5. Apologies.
Yeah. So taste
Listening
bud,
skills.
debate forward. Didn't you just run a session? No, just kidding.
No. All right. All right. Yeah. Yeah. So hard to choose.
Okay. There are 6 in debate forward. Have you done some debate for impact work before?
No. It was part of the master's course, but
Oh yeah. Yes. Well,
I'll go there. That's cool.
Whatever you'd like. Okay. And you can jump if you'd like to.
We are definitely in, the teaser mode. But as I was able to pop around all the different rooms, and just huge thank you to the resource sharing, the experiences, and so on, and everybody getting into it. I think you can see how not only is this fun to teach, but it would be fun to learn, right? And a fun way of learning about important things. And I just kind of wanted to close with that, and then kind of just give us an invitation to continue this conversation, and to continue the co-creation together. I when we started this with Inspire Citizens, and the work I've recently been doing with Ivy and others on the team, is what this often does for me as a teacher and as a person. It just changed my way and perception and my intentions in the way that I engage with the planet and with people, and with myself, right? Eco photography, I slow down. I see things I didn't see before. I have a deeper appreciation for nature. And my social media has turned into a lot of sharing photographs and enjoyment of just the beauty of the world. Out of the blocks, just talking to people I wouldn't normally talk to, listening to their stories, working on more compassionate listening, celebrating diversity, right? And the power of storytelling, and what that does for a community. Taste buds is something that I know we've talked a lot about with, what you eat, what you put into your body says a lot about you, right? And your relationship with the world, whether you're mindful, whether you're taking care of the earth, whether, you take the time to dig into your culture or other people's cultures, and whether you take the time to bond with people close to you more through mindful and eating and taking your, or are we just running around shoving food in our face, right? And I used to shove food in my face a lot. So I'm not being accusatory. I've just learned more recently how to be more mindful. Debate forward. I mean, we know, probably don't have to say, but just that idea again of nonviolent communication, not just in issues, but in my relationships, right? Whether that's at home, with friends, with Inspire Citizens, teammates, and so on, these things that you can carry. And I was just going to share this because I just thought this is so cool. This was I was walking home last night, and just the frog right outside my door before I came in, just totally going off, right? And again, that appreciation of just like, whoa, that sensory piece, and the art and the sound art that's involved in these situations, and the connections. And Aaron brought up, sound is such a great entry point into inquiry and into units, and especially for biodiversity, but also for urban planning and noise, and what noise does to our brains, et cetera. We were also going to, if we had time, we are going to do a little more of a what if protocol right now, but I just want to throw that at you and invite you to send us an email, a chat, a WeChat, a voice thread, whatever you want. If you have a what if that wants to connect to any of these ideas you've experienced or thought about today to bring into your teaching and learning experience, just don't hesitate to ask. We want to be involved. And you're getting in on this kind of at the ground. It's not ground zero. We've been working on varieties of this for about 5 years, but I think this is about to really take off. And I think it's an opportunity for this cohort to really maybe become a foundational piece. So just think about that. And lastly, just to show you where this is happening, right? We have all of these places that, we've planted these seeds with little bees buzzing around the world, right? Whether it's in New York with Digital Sit in Philadelphia and Mexico City, whether Aaron over in Seoul, Scott's going to Singapore, Regine's in Beijing, and all the WAB folks, et cetera. Like, this is happening, right? So it would be lovely to continue this conversation, to stay involved. And we're looking, Ivy and I have talked a lot about having opportunities, maybe even once every month to 6 weeks, just to have like a little 30-minute hub member station-y kind of meeting. How's it going? Where are we at? What are the publications? Can we publish some of them for you, et cetera? So we want you involved. And then just don't forget, on this particular page, we are more than just eco-media. I think one thing that I know we take a lot of pride in at Inspire Citizens is that we do juggle a lot of balls, right? But I do think we do it pretty damn well. And a lot of the stuff that we do, we put our hearts and souls into, whether it's school partnerships, whether it's the podcast, whether it's the summer camp, the master's program, et cetera, the storytelling. we really hope that you get a chance to dive into a lot of the things that we do. And again, open invitation to engage in any of these things. Aaron, any last thing before I come? And if you're interested specifically in eco media, definitely reach out to Ivy or me, and or both. And Aaron, just last thing before we say goodbye.
Yes, I want to thank and recognize all of the facilitators that helped us, right? We had 10 friends that joined us for this session, right? And they were helping to make these workshops come to life, and they put together a lot of great planning and resources and put all these experiences together. So if you would join me in a round of applause, thanking the facilitators for today. Right. And on the last note too, is that, right, the work that we did in these mini sessions are things that we can build into our units. We can build into our, advisory programs. We can build scope and sequences into whole school approaches, right? And when we do this kind of work, we not only help kids to heal, but we help to use school to have a positive impact on the world. And sometimes there are slight tweaks that we can make to existing systems to change the way that 100 kids do science, to make them fall in love with the earth and want to take action for sustainability, right? So thank you for being part of this discussion. Thank you for being on this journey. And we hope that together we can continue.
And Aaron, one last huge thank you I don't want to forget is Ed and IRCOS. We are so excited that Aaron and hopefully myself are going to be coming to the IRCOS conference in the fall. And regardless, we're really looking forward to continuing this relationship. We think eco-media and engaged global citizenship is really important. And Ed, thank you as always for being a huge supporter of our work. And we're looking forward to continuing to co-create and grow together.
Thank you. And I just want to say, as today perfectly demonstrated, is such a powerful, I'm not sure, movement or project that you've created. And we're just honored to be part of it and to support it in any way that we can. Look forward to having you come to an IRCOS conference to present, and further webinars and other aspects of publications for the journal. I think you guys are really onto something important. I mean, you're embracing so many issues that need to be deeply looked at and added to what the schools not just say they do, but really do. And I appreciate all that you're doing, and thank you for engaging with us. So all of you have a wonderful weekend, and thank you for joining us. And I'm going to leave this on if you want more conversation. But as I said, we probably are going to run out of space up in the cloud for the recording.